welcome to Extension Network. I'm Amy Whitney with Cobb County Extension in Horticulture, and I'm here today with Terry Carter. She's also at Cobb Extension in Family and Consumer Sciences, and later we'll be joined by Kathleen McElroy, who works with the county's Youth and Extension's 4-H program. We're all three program assistants at the county, and we also all three are master gardeners, so we love to be outside in gardens. And today we're at the historic Mableton Community Garden, where Terry is a coordinator. So she knows a lot about this particular garden and about growing lots of plants and things that are really great for community gardens. So Terry, what are you going to tell us about today about planting herbs in the garden?
Well, first of all, herbs are one of the easiest things to grow. If you're new to gardening, I would say start with herbs because they will give you a lot back in return for growing them. And what we're going to show you today are a lot of different herbs that are common to the gardens in Georgia. First, we have sage. Everybody knows what sage is. Sage is an easy one to grow, and it happens to be a perennial, so it will come back every year. And if you don't know the difference between annuals, biannuals, and perennials, annual herbs are those that will you purchase or you start from seeds in the spring. They will grow and then they will die when the frost comes. Then you have a biannual. This is a good example of a biannual. This is parsley, and parsley is one that the first year you'll get foliage and the second year you'll actually get the flowers. But because we only use parsley for the foliage, we're not really concerned about the second year. But you can plant this year, and if we have a mild winter, this will come back, it'll stay in the garden, and it'll look beautiful all year long. I love parsley in the garden because it's beautiful as an attractive plant as well as something to eat. And then when we talk about perennial herbs, we're talking about something like a chive. A chive is a perennial, meaning that it comes back every year for several years. It's very easy to grow, and chive, this is actually onion chives, and onion chives grow in clumps. And you can pretty much buy these at any store locally that sell herbs. It's better to buy these already ready to go, simply because starting them from seeds would take a long time. And if you start them from seeds now, you probably won't get any of these for this season. Other herbs we have here, we have some thyme. We also have marjoram. We have purple basil. Purple basil is one of my favorites because it's beautiful in the garden. It's not used so much for seasoning food like its cousin Genovese basil, but this is just beautiful to grow. It looks good. It will grow very big, and you'll have that all year long until your first frost. We also have some Mexican tarragon that's used for chicken and a lot of other different herbs. We have some lavender here, and lavender isn't one that we cook with a lot, but it smells so good, so we use it in potpourri or different things that we want to smell, or just to have it, so you can just take a piece like this and take a whiff of it. It kind of opens up your senses. And what we want to do today is to get some of these in the ground. We're going to take the chives, and we'll plant these chives now.
We've got a little hanger on right here.
Oh, okay. We'll take the chives and we'll put them in the garden. And this is a good time to start your herb garden because we have the threat of frost gone, and so you don't have to worry about losing any of your herbs. So we always say wait until after the first frost to get a lot of things in the ground. So this is easy to do. We're just going to take it, pop it out of the pot. If you look at it, it has a really, really good root system on it. So it's really time to get this in the ground, all right? So it's so easy to do. Just take a hole here, plop it in, and cover it up. And it's that simple. And you'll get chives from that for years to come. And whenever you want to harvest it, just take that and snip a little bit off the top. We're also going to put in parsley. Parsley, as we said, is a biennial, so you'll get a lot of uses from this. See, the root system is really strong on this one as well. And we're going to put this one right here. And it's that simple. And from this point, all you need to do is make sure you water it, because if you don't water it, you will have some problems and it may not be looking so good when you come back.
Yes, so I noticed that this garden has some really big herbs in it, so there's not going to be a whole lot more room for a whole lot of planting in here. What's this gray fuzzy one that we're looking at down low?
Oh yes, this is mint. This mint has been growing in this bed since last year. You can see it really will take over the bed, so if you don't want to have a whole bed of mint, make sure you contain this mint either by putting it in a terracotta pot, and you can still put it in the bed, but put it in a pot and it may grow out of the pot, but you'll still be able to contain it. And if you want to take cuttings from it, you just take a piece of the mint, which I've taken, and just pull it up. You'll have a small root system here, and just pop that into some soil and you can have mint and you can share it with other people. There's never any need to buy mint when you have this much in the ground growing. So
yeah. And so the other thing that's really big in this garden back here is this enormous herb behind you.
Oh, this enormous herb behind me is one of my favorite herbs. This is rosemary, and you can see this rosemary is huge. It's taken over this whole corner of the bed. So if you love rosemary, go ahead and plant it, but you can see how big it'll get. Rosemary starts out really small. If you purchase it, it'll be about this size when you first start out, and I'm pretty sure this one started out at about that size, and it'll grow really fast and give you a lot for years to come. Now, rosemary will also start to get woody, as this one had, and you'll start to lose plant. And this person has pretty much cut that off, and that's the thing to do. And once it gets so old, it'll live at least 5 years. After 5 years, and you might want to start thinking about taking cuttings from it, which we've done here. We just taken a piece of the mint and taken one piece and cut these off. And if you look at this one, you may be able to see that it has a root system on there. And this has been going, I would say, maybe about a month and a half. So you can start these indoors in water, or you can take this cutting and you can just pop it in the ground or in a pot, and it'll start to take roots. And that's all you have to do with that. But it's one of my favorite herbs, and it can be used on chicken, in a lot of different dishes. And to use it, you just take it and you take your rosemary off, and there you go. You can use this either fresh or dried.
That looks wonderful. So this community garden is relatively new, but anybody who wants to come see it can see it on Mapleton Day.
Oh yes, we'll be having Mapleton Day on May 16th, which is a Saturday. We'll start with a 5K run early in the morning, and then over at the Maple House, we'll have vendors there. We'll have different booths there. Extension will be there, so you can come by and see our booth. But it is May 16th, and it goes until 2 p.m., so make sure you get there early.
And come across the street.
Yes, it's right across the street from the garden. We're here. If you want to come to the garden, you can come and take a look at the garden. We'll be here to let you see it, ask questions. We'll have master gardeners here. And then if you want to, you can just walk right across the street to the Maple House and enjoy Mapleton Day. It's going to be a great day.
And then when you come back, you can see how much further this mint has grown. Because
yes.
it's going to have like migrated across that whole
yes,
bed.
It sure
it's going
will.
to be awesome.
Yes, it will.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Terry, for sharing all that great information about herbs.
Thank you.
So when we come back from the break, Terry will be joined by Kathleen, and we'll see you then.
You realize that 49 million Americans struggle with hunger? That's 1 out of every 6 Americans.
These people are around us every day. They're our friends, they're our coworkers, their kids go to school with our kids.
Sometimes we're not even aware that they're struggling. This problem is closer than you think. But so is the solution.
Play a role in ending hunger. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find your local food bank.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 88. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Hello, and welcome back. We're here with Kathleen McElroy with Cobb 4-H. And Kathleen, she's going to be showing us some really interesting things you can do with kids during the summer. So Kathleen, what do you have for us today?
Well, today we're going to focus on the summer programs we're going to be bringing to the Cobb County Library System, and we'll be all over Cobb County Libraries. And what you want to do is go online or connect with your local library and see what time we'll be there and what day. So we hope to see you out there in the summer. And I want to start off with talking a little bit about the 4-H's. So this is our 4-H clover, our logo, and it's got an H in each of the leaves.
You have 4 H's.
4-H,
For
right.
4-H, okay.
I'm going to add a 5th H. A 5th H for hero, because
Okay.
heroes, that's what we're talking about at the libraries this summer. And the H's have different meanings. Okay, so the first one is head.
Oh,
We've got
wow.
head.
Head.
You can do it with me.
Okay, head.
We've got heart,
Okay.
and then hands, and health. Just do
Very
this.
Very nice.
And for the 4 H's, That's kind of guiding us through the program as we talk about superheroes in the libraries. And our 4-H motto is actually to make the best better, and that goes really well with talking about heroes.
Yes, it does.
So for our 4-H story time, we'll have stories, and then we'll have some different activities.
Yes.
So Terry, who's your favorite hero?
Well, I have quite a few heroes, but my favorite living hero, I would say, would be Miss Oprah Winfrey. She really sets a great standard for me, so.
Fantastic, yeah, Oprah's awesome. And
yes.
we have lots of different heroes. We can find heroes on TV, movies, comic books, find heroes in magazines,
yes.
Even on the news, people helping other people, which is this is a wonderful place to talk about that when here at the Mapleton Community Garden. So when we talk about heroes and heroing up. So if you come to the 4-H Cobb County Library, we're going to talk about how you can hero up with the 4-H's, Head, Heart, Hands, and Health, because you never really know when you might be called up to be a hero. It could happen anytime, so we want to be prepared.
Yes,
so we'll do that with the 4-H's. So the first one is Head, and really I'm going to focus on what we can do in the garden to strengthen those 4-H's. So we talk about Head, and when you plan a garden, you want to do lots of research. You can call our extension office. You can get lots of different research done there. We could help you out. And when families get together to garden, they have to plan things out. So what are some things that are important to planning a garden, Terry?
Well, first of all, you want to think about the plant that you're going to put in the garden. First of all, right plant, right place. You want to make sure you choose the right plant and that you put that right plant in the right place so it'll grow and it'll thrive. Because if you choose the wrong plant and you put it in a place, then you're going to lose the plant.
Right, absolutely. So it's knowledge. Head is for knowledge and learning new things. So we have Head, and then Heart. Heart is about relationships, nurturing and building relationships. Here at the community garden, an awesome example of that, where families and people can come in, friends, form bonds over food. Food is great. Fruits, vegetables, herbs.
Yes.
And share garden stories, because as we garden, we experience different things.
I think gardening is a universal language. Regardless of where you come from, gardening brings people together, so it's very spiritual.
Absolutely. So it's fun to really talk about how you can develop these 4-H's by gardening.
Yes.
So we have Head, Heart, and then Hands. And Hands is all about community service. And again, we can use the garden. What does the community garden do with putting out some service?
Oh, well, we have some rows here that we set aside, and those rows we have volunteers come into the garden, because actually this year we filled up. All of our plots were rented out by gardeners who love gardening. So we set one aside, and that plot, we have people come in and volunteer who just want to be a part of the garden, and the food that's grown in that plot will be donated to homeless people and some of the food pantries that are in the area. So we definitely give back in this garden. So it's so much food we grow here, we have more than enough to give back.
So I mean, you guys are like local heroes. You're
I guess you could call
you're
us
the garden coordinator,
hero.
so you all are like local heroes, absolutely. Sharing
yeah.
the food with the community. So I think that's awesome. We've got Head, Heart, Hands, and then also Health. And that's my favorite part, because we're talking about food.
Yes.
Healthy food.
Exactly.
So you're in food and consumer sciences, so I know you've seen this before. This is ChooseMyPlate.gov, and it allows families, kids to choose different types of foods and then really understand the nutrition about it, nutrition behind it. So so we have the fruits, vegetables, grains, protein, and then a dairy. And what's really neat about this is, and this is an activity that I'll bring to the libraries, is that what's neat is that you can pick out different types of food, and on the back we have nutrition labels, so you can actually see you can actually see the nutrients that are in the food that you pick. So Terry, I'm going to ask you to put a plate together, and we're going to start with sweet potato.
Oh yeah, one of my favorites.
Because actually Amy Whitney is going to talk about
yes,
sweet potatoes a little bit later on.
She sure will.
So we'll start with sweet potato. What else would you like to put on your plate?
Well, in addition to sweet potatoes, I would say let's take some. I would take some pineapple.
Pineapple, okay.
Yeah,
so that's a great fruit choice.
Yeah, I love pineapple. And of course, we want some protein. So for my protein, I'm going to choose salmon, one of my favorite things, and it's so healthy and so easy to cook quickly as well. And then we need some bread. I think I'll take a slice of whole wheat bread as opposed to white bread, because it's much healthier for you.
More fiber.
And then, as a little added treat, A little frozen yogurt I think would be nice. So that's my dairy.
There's ice cream. You didn't want the ice cream.
Well, frozen yogurt tastes
yeah.
a lot like ice cream,
It
so
does.
I'll take the frozen yogurt. It's okay.
It's a good healthy choice.
Yes, it really
totally
is.
So you can look on the back here, and the kids can actually see that you get some calcium. You get 10% calcium in the yogurt. And I want to look at the sweet potato, because the sweet potato, the percent daily value for vitamin A is 249%.
Oh my goodness,
So these
that's
are
a
some
lot.
wonderful healthy
Yes.
choices.
Very healthy.
So even though you might want to eat a little bit of something, you get, when you put it all
Yes.
together, you get all these
Yeah, you
wonderful
get a lot.
nutrients,
Yes.
protein, fiber, and also some energy,
yes,
which is what we need.
Exactly. That's okay. It's a little windy out here
Dominoes.
today, so.
So we talk about the food, and then heroing up, being a hero, it's important to be strong with the nutrients, good food, and it's also important to exercise. So being in the garden, we know that being outside is healthy, and also doing the exercise of actually planting,
Yes.
putting the seeds in,
Yes.
weeding. I mean, we don't really enjoy weeding too much, but it's something
Yeah.
we've got to do.
But it's exercise,
It's
so yes, it
exercise.
helps.
Watering the plants, going out and checking on the plants daily. It's also exercise, and then all the way to harvest.
Oh yeah,
All the
yeah.
way to harvest.
Exactly. So you get a lot of exercise in the garden, more than you think, and you're out here for a while. You're out here actually longer than you think you are, and you've done more than you think you have done. So it's great.
And it's great because you get to harvest the
Oh yeah,
fruits of your
yeah,
labor
fruits
later
of your
on.
labor, actually.
So what I did was I looked at a vegetable planting chart that you can get from the extension office, and I picked out pumpkins as
yeah.
something fun for families to think about putting into the
Yeah,
garden
a
right
lot of
now.
fun, yes.
And we're not really thinking about fall yet, but this is the time to put the pumpkins in, the pumpkin seeds. And what's really neat about the pumpkins is that you have lots of different varieties, different colors, different shapes, different forms.
Oh, yeah.
Here we have red warty thing. That's
Isn't
a
that neat?
variety.
It's different.
And what I like about pumpkins is that the seeds are really large,
Yeah,
so it's
really
really
large
fun
seeds.
for the kids
Yeah,
to...
they can see those seeds and really see what they're doing.
Absolutely, so they can plant those.
And pumpkins are fun for kids to grow. It's a good way for them to start, even though it'll take a long time before they harvest it, but it's nice to see.
But they can see it grow.
Yeah, they can see
and
those
spread.
vines actually growing, for a while.
And then after they're ready to harvest, they can actually put them in a cool place to store it up. Now, part of the exercise, again, gardening is great because it'll help you get strong.
Yes.
And really, I just want to invite everybody to join us at the Cobb County Libraries for our 4-H summer program, and hope to see you there.
All right, thank you. So when we come back, we'll have Amy Whitney, and Amy will be talking to us about planting sweet potatoes. So stay tuned for that, okay?
2 outs with a runner on first base. Now the big guy comes up to bat, hitting .342 with 92 RBIs and 36 homers. This first pitch is fouled to the back.
Chill raw and prepared foods promptly. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
But it would be safe to keep your distance until there's no secret that laughter makes you smile. Reliable sources say that chicken soup has found their way out of this dangerous, but they are returned.
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to the Extension Network. We're here with Amy Whitney, who is going to show us about planting sweet potatoes in the garden.
Yeah, I actually have 2 topics for today,
All right.
so don't be surprised when I change. But we are going to talk about sweet potatoes because sweet potatoes are such a great vegetable for the South. You know, we think about, a lot of sweet potatoes in Southern cooking, and this is one that I grew in my garden last year, and they're very different from this kind of potato.
White potatoes. Okay,
And that's just like a red new potato, and like the Yukon Golds and Kennebecs and all those baking potatoes and these that you use for potato salad, you plant these really different. You'd plant these in March, and you plant sweet potatoes in May and June because they like hot weather. But this kind of potato likes cold weather, and when you plant one of these, you just cut a potato in half basically, so each piece is about the size of an egg, and that these little sprouts, when you plant them about 5 inches deep, are sticking up, and then those would come up from underground. But you do sweet potatoes different. You either go buy plants at the store, like these, a cell pack of, this is 9 Beauregard plants that I bought at a garden center, or you can start your own like this in water. Most of you have probably seen this kind of a sweet potato that someone stuck in a jar. They've got toothpicks sticking in it, and so half of it.
Yeah, we've done that.
yeah, you've done that, exactly, because it's really cool. And then the sprouts will come out. You can see the little sprouts coming out, and then there'll be this long, beautiful vine that comes across your kitchen. And not everybody plants those. They keep them just because they're beautiful.
Now we cook the stems. I've cooked the leaves with the sweet potato. Here in the South, we like to eat the potato. So can you talk a little bit more about the history of the sweet potato locally?
Well, here in Cobb County, and there used to be a lot more agriculture than there is now, and especially in the western part of Cobb County, that sweet potatoes were a major agricultural crop. And so every time you grow sweet potatoes in your garden, not only are you growing great food, if you're, just southern U.S., you eat the potatoes. If you're Filipino, you might eat the stems and leaves. But, every time you grow sweet potatoes, you're like dipping into that river of history, of local history. And so that's really kind of a wonderful thing. So a lot of people do it this way. These have a little water down here, and they've rooted, and these are just little sweet potatoes. And if you wanted to use one of these, instead of planting the whole potato, you plant a slip. And so these are rooted slips. These are rooted pieces of the vine that someone's already done that for you, but you don't have to buy them that way. You can get a piece off like that, and you'd want to, snip off the leaves, and then you plant it using a process called puddling in. And it makes a big old muddy mess, but it's the best way. So I'm going to move a couple of these out of the way just for a minute so you can see it. And so you'd make a hole, in your prepared bed. And we're hoping this is prepared well enough. I worked on it earlier today. And so you make yourself a nice hole, and you'd set this in there. Poor little plant. It doesn't have any roots yet, but it will. And so puddling in means you make a big old muddy mess when you plant it, just like that. It's in a mud puddle. That's puddling in. And so because it doesn't have any roots yet, it's going to look really wilty and sad for about a week, but then all of a sudden it will perk up, and it's like a miracle because it will have made roots. And so that's a really, an easy way to grow sweet potatoes. Easier, of course, is this way. And this variety that's available at the stores is Beauregard, and this is a very productive variety. It's great for home gardens in that it makes a lot of food, but the vines, when they grow, are really long. So you've grown sweet potatoes. How long do they get?
So they just cover.
They cover.
Cover the beds.
Yeah, they cover the beds. And so in a garden like this, if you planted, just a couple, you could just train the vines to stay inside. But if you planted all 9 of these, because there's 9 in this cell pack, so if you took like a 5-foot length of bed and planted, 3 rows of 3, those sweet potatoes would make vines that came out and covered that bed, and they'd come out and cover that bed. And so you have to kind of think about what you're going to do with the vines when they grow.
Now, my favorite part is the harvesting. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Amy?
Well, the harvesting is fun. It's a really long season plant. It needs to be in the ground until like the end of September or early October, but once you start digging them up, and you have to be a little bit careful because they are underground and you can't see them, and they can break or you'll spear them accidentally. But Beauregard makes big sweet potatoes, and so you'll get a potato like this, like a small dog, really big. Some of these other varieties that I grow at home are, will stay like more in bounds like this, they're also, which are also fun to harvest. but kids especially love to help dig up sweet potatoes.
Now, do sweet potatoes produce flowers?
They do.
The vines, do they produce?
They do make flowers, but some flower more than others. And so what you'll see is later in the season, like toward August, an occasional little bright blue or purple flower sticking out there in the vines, and they're really lovely. They're in the morning glory family, so you can imagine the beautiful colors on those flowers.
So some pollinators that might visit
a
sweet potato flower.
So this is moving into topic number 2. So yeah, because pollinators are really important in gardens. Because this is a root crop, you don't have to have pollination to make your crop. But a lot of other plants in the garden, the strawberries, the tomatoes, the peppers, the eggplants, cucumbers, and squashes, things that we love, need help from insect pollinators to make fruit. And one of the things that's coming up in June is National Pollinator Week. It's the 3rd week in June every year. And Cobb County celebrates Pollinator Week by having a family day. Last year we had a family day on that Thursday of that week, and we're going to do that again this year. So
it's very successful.
Yes, so Thursday, June 18th at 10 in the morning to 11:30 over at the Wildlife and Rain Garden that's on the property of the Cobb County Water Customer Service Facility. We're going to have an event for families, and it was so much fun last year.
Yeah.
So we had a bug hunt, which kids got a scorecard and crayons so they could mark off when they went, around the garden and they were hunting for bugs to see what they could see. And there were master gardeners and other experts in the garden to help them find them. And we had a craft, and we're going to have a different craft this year. So it will be even more fun, trust me. And we had a lot of information available. One was a display about butterflies and moths, so you could see the difference, because those are both important pollinators in our gardens. And there was also take-home information for people who wanted to learn more about the pollinators that we have, and maybe about supporting pollinators better in their own yards.
So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Very educational and fun.
It was educational and fun, and we're really looking forward to doing it again.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So between Babelton Day coming up and
Cobb County Library
programs and Pollinator Week, we have a lot. Extension has a lot to offer this summer for people to come out and enjoy and to learn from. And we are really glad that you were able to join us today at this beautiful historic Mableton Garden. And thanks for watching.
I've always said that you can't change what you don't acknowledge. So let's acknowledge this. 1 in 6 Americans now struggle with hunger. These are our co-workers, neighbors, friends. Visit feedingamerica.org to find your local food bank to help.